Three Grots in a Vox is intended for a mature audience. This means there will be crude language and discussions of adult themes, especially if we're talking about Tactical Marines or Gabriel Seth. Viewer discretion is not only advised but encouraged. All opinions are our own and often given for humorous purposes. Any advice is given largely for entertainment purposes and should probably be ignored. But if you do learn something useful, count it as a win.
Your eyes are trichromatic. You can only see three colours, right? RGB.
Okay.
Why RGB is RGB.
Okay.
So because we can only see those three colours, the combinations of those three colours our brain interprets as other colours. Okay, so if you think the waveform that's coming off of those, they combine to make a wave in your head, and you see a colour. Now, there shouldn't be a situation where your basically your red sensor and your blue sensor fire, but the green sensor doesn't. Okay, because they're all colours are made up of a combination of the three, just in balance. So, but if you artificially yank any green frequencies out of it, only those two sensors in your eye fire, and your brain can't cope with that information because that's not right. That shouldn't happen. How can that? What? No, that doesn't work. So your brain sort of goes into panic and just goes fucking pink and calls it a day.
I think it says a lot about you that you philosophically identify with magenta in such a powerful way.
It's a useful thing.
I'm not entirely sure what it says about you, but I think it says something.
But it's why it's such an important colour. So people, you see really good artists and things like that. Magenta is like the first thing on the palette, right? And the reason for that is that because it doesn't exist, if you mix it with any other colour, it takes on the properties of that colour.
Please tell me you're filming this, John.
So that means that like you can put it in the shade, like in the shade for your model, and it'll work. Doesn't matter what colour your model is, it'll work. It'll be beautiful. And it'll add a load of chromatic depth to the model you're painting or whatever it is, or you can start mixing into the highlights and things like that, and it will just work to add depth and richness to whatever you're doing, and it'll just be basically invisible. It's a bit like those people that say that when they listen to music, they've got a needle on their record player that lets them hear 40 kilohertz, knowing full well that as a human being we can't hear any more than 20, and that's when we're born. And they go, oh well, it adds headroom. I mean, it doesn't, but this is a bit like that, except that it does. It does add something imperceptible to different colours. So I thought we weren't actually filming this bit.
That's probably going to be the best cold start we've had in a long time, to be fair.
That's because it's cold even to me.
There you go.
It's ridiculous.
You're always hot on magenta, Tony.
It's an important colour, and I think that looks great.
All right, well, I was going to say, do we just start the episode right now then?
Yeah, do the intro.
Right, okay. So, because I was trying to give you an overview of what we're supposed to be doing before we do it, entire audience look away. Right?
Nobody's allowed to cut it out in post or forget to or something.
We're definitely not going to cut this out in post, but really quickly, all right?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
How we're doing it.
Don't worry.
Nobody else is watching.
Let's just go. Okay? Don't worry about it.
Basically, I've gone through the different phases.
Oh, God. Okay. Yep.
Right? I've got like terrain, organisation, building lists, that sort of stuff, tournament-y stuff, everything else. And then it goes to pile of glory. All right?
Right. Okay. Cool.
So most of what John wanted to talk about probably goes in that later Misky bit rather than in the earlier bit.
Okay.
Can we start by asking the question, did any of you guys get the Crux Terminatus set?
Fuck no.
No.
I was going to, and then at the last minute I thought, let me just check my my bits
pile.
Like, well, there's 3 boxes of Terminators there already.
Nice. Okay.
So I probably don't need to buy any more, was my thought.
Well, when we get to pile
the idea of new Terminators, I love the new sculpts. They're great. But
they're lovely.
one, I don't need more Terminators, and two, the rules are dog shit at the moment. So
That was the thing, isn't it? Because like I really do like those new Terminator sculpts. I think they're gorgeous, and I love Assault Terminators. But the rules are. I was so hoping. Do you know? I even went back a couple of times and logged back into Warhammer Community just to check if I'd missed them announcing that they've got new rules.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Because they're still shit.
Yes.
Well, they're tough,
they're more expensive than regular Terminators, but they're worse in every way.
Yes. We've been saying this for 2.5 years, to be fair.
Yeah. We know why. It's because GW decided that they wanted to get rid of Terminators for a while, and therefore gave them shit points and shit rules. And suddenly, we're remaking them with cool new models, but they've still got shit rules.
Why are they more expensive than regular? I was doing some maths earlier, right?
Okay.
So Sons of Sanguinius, because I'm a Blood Angels player, right?
Yep, obviously.
A squad of 5 Lightning Claw Terminators.
Ultramarine Terminators on the background of this picture.
That's because this is the one that they put out for new 40k, so I thought it'd fit.
Okay, cool. Fair enough. Sorry.
Anyway, so yeah, 5 Terminators, right? Blood Angels, Sons of Sanguinius. So 6 attacks each on the charge, strength 7 on the charge, re-rolling all their wounds, 6 attacks. It's a lot of attacks. 30 attacks, re-roll wounds, AP2, damage 1. Or for 10 points less, I can have 20 attacks at strength 10 with damage 2, and they can shoot.
Yeah, or if you just take Blade Guard, you get the same 30 attacks, but they're damage 2. And they're cheaper.
Place as well.
Cool.
So what's the idea behind this episode then, Tony?
So I'm just still puzzled by the point of Assault Terminators at the moment. Right, yeah. So this is what we're going to do today. We're going to make some more baseless speculation because I know how much we do enjoy that. We're going to go through the different kind of phases and areas of 40k at the moment, and we're going to speculate on how we could just make them better for 11th edition. And then when GW take none of our advice and do something awful, we can be like, look, we told you how to fix it. You didn't want to take that fix, then that's on you.
Okay, right? And we can totally
say, we can't make it work. Well, you could, because we told you how.
And we're going to clickbait the title by saying this is how we must fix 40k or
no, this is how it is fixed. This is how it's exactly.
This is how. Right, hold on a minute.
Way, yeah?
If we do make a super clickbaity title that says we're fixing it, one of you guys takes the negative karma on Reddit this time, and not me.
That's fine. That's fine.
I don't even have a Reddit account, so
we've got to have all 3 of us doing
Reddit.
faces to go on the thumbnail as well, just to be even more fucking stupid.
I need it.
I did write on the first page, look, baseless speculation. This is based on nothing.
Do you know what? Someone will still put a comment in saying, like, you guys have just made this up.
Actually, people really liked that last video.
Yeah, I know, but there's always morons, isn't there?
I think someone said that I was fear-mongering that the units were getting removed, and I was like, if you think
my Star Wars Unlimited spoiler episode where I got the new card reveal, and I put the title of "This is the most overpowered, meta-defining, game-changing card in the world ever." And people were complaining that I overhyped it a little bit and thought that I was trying to clickbait them and was being deadly serious about it. It's like, seriously? Okay, all right, fine, fair enough. There you go. That's very funny.
We need less of this and more of this.
Woohoo!
Right. Okay.
Have you tried that with your kid yet? No? Less of this.
Here's one mouth.
More of this.
That's how that works. I say that to children all the time.
Shouldn't the first phase be list building?
No.
Oh, okay.
Because I wrote it this way around, and you had your chance, but you decided to do a cold opening instead of letting me just shuffle things around for you.
All right, okay.
So now we're going straight into it, and we're starting off with kind of movement, deployment, deep strike, anything to do with moving about. So how are you going to fix it, Mark? How are you going to make it better?
I'm kind of happy with it, to be honest. I like infantry moving through buildings. I like vehicles not moving through buildings. I think the fact that vehicles don't have to worry about facing bugs me a teeny bit, but is really convenient, so I'm willing to overlook that. I'm generally happy with it, to be honest. The whole Bubble of you can't deploy closer than 9 inch, except where obviously special rules let you do so, is kind of cool. Yeah, I got no real problem with it. Sorry.
It's a tough question, actually. Can we improve the movement phase? I think. You remember a few editions ago, you had that mechanic where, like, if you went first, the person going second had an option. I think it cost them 1 command point, and they basically put their whole army in cover. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I feel like there's definitely something to be said at the moment about, like, in turn 1, going first typically means you just have to move your shit out of cover into the open to be shot by your opponent.
At the moment, I don't want turn 1.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have been saying the game is definitely skewed to turn 2, and especially if you get one of those maps where it's like, at the end of the game there's only 1 or 2 objectives left, some of them have been removed, and you have any sort of durable army. You don't even have to kill your opponent, you just need to walk 5 Terminators onto the middle objective and say, like, here I am with all my OC, I win the game, because I went second and I score at the end, So there's, I think it'd be hard, I think it's hard to fix the movement phase, but I definitely think that person going first has some sort of disadvantage, that maybe they could get a scout move on a few units or something, like to switch up the early game to maybe reward like an aggressive deployment. But I'm not entirely sure. What was your thoughts?
It's a delicate balance to walk, that, isn't it? Because the game has shifted between favouring the first turn player in the Alpha Strike versus favouring the second turn player. And a lot of that, I feel, probably comes down to terrain more than the actual deployment or the movement rules, which isn't specifically part of the movement phase, but is definitely an improvement. I love the way terrain has come on now to what it was a couple of editions ago at bare minimum, because it was such dog shit previously.
Yeah, definitely. There's a page about terrain coming up later, but sort of echo what John was saying. I really like the I can't remember if it's 8th edition or 9th edition. In one of the ways of playing it, I can't remember, it was one of those competitive ones, you had this sort of like rule of deploy first, go first.
So the advantage and disadvantage tied in together. Yeah,
and I quite liked that, because then it really did become, and you'd roll off and you'd be like, right, I want to go second, I'm going to deploy second. You know what I mean? It was that you had that decision to make, and the roll-off gave you that decision. And I do prefer it that way, because it did mean that if you knew you were going first, you could deploy quite aggressively. And I know that the idea is that not knowing means you can't deploy aggressively. But what that does is it means that turn 1 in most games, I don't know about you, John, you've probably played more 10th edition games than I have, but for most of my games for 10th edition, turn 1 has been a bit of a bust. Like, nothing really happens. Everyone just sort of shuffles about a bit. If you go first and you don't move out too much, because you know you're going to get shot to shit, and if you go second, well, you're already in. It's just like turn 1 nothing happens, turn 2 is when the game actually starts. And I think if we have that little bit of surety knowing, then maybe it'd get the game going a bit quicker.
I think you're definitely right. This is a reason that I love an impulsor, right? Because like turn 1 you have to expose something. And what better to expose than a transport that I don't care about that's 80 points, that when it dies, the guys will spill out and I'll still hold the objective, right? Like, that's my whole reason for including impulsors in my Blood Angels army.
Which is a good strategic reason that should be, yeah.
Yeah, but I think you're 100% right, Tony. So I think in that edition, the player could steal initiative as well. Do you remember that? They could roll, and if they got 6, they stole it, and then they got to go first.
I didn't like that for tournament play, though, if I'm honest. That was fine for titting about with your mates, but for tournament play, that was just a bit annoying.
So I think in general consensus
there are a number of times where that 1 in 6 chance of winning the steal the initiative roll basically won you the game. And it was a risk that you took as to do you do this or not, and if I win the roll, great. If I don't, I'm dead.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
I think you're right though. Turn 1 is not an exciting turn anymore in the game, and usually it penalises whoever goes first, because, like you said, they have to expose stuff that
they tried to get away from the being alpha struck off the board in turn 1 if you didn't go first. But now with the heavier terrain, I don't know that that's necessarily necessary. There's something else.
And the commensurate nerfing of indirect as well at the same time.
Absolutely. Something else I want to say on this one, because I actually do think that there's some work we do around the movement phase.
Okay.
I don't mind the actual movement part of it, but there's 2 areas that I think could do some work. The first one is deep striking. Now, you might hate me because, especially you, John, you're a real tournament player and you like certainty in the way you play. You know, and a good tournament player will usually minimize the amount of exposure to bad dice rolls. You know, that's how you win at tournaments. You know, there's other things, but no. One of the key things to do if you want to win at a tournament consistently is you minimize randomness.
Yes, 100%.
So that you have this really consistent play. But one area that I think needs more randomness is deep striking.
You think you can bring back the scatter dice?
I think you should bring back the scatter dice. Okay? And the reason that I say that is at the moment, because, well, I'm going to come back to that actually, because I'm going to jump on my second point. The second thing I think they should change is I think we need to go back to the bigger board size and the smaller army. And the reason I say that is that if you go back to previous editions, I used to play, I played a bit of second, but my big thing was third onwards, right? Sort of third, fourth, fifth, sixth. That was, and sixth and seventh when I was playing serious tournament things. And the thing is that the boards were bigger, armies were often smaller. And what that meant was that movement played a larger part in how you played a game. Things like screening were much more difficult to do. So you really had to think about what you were going to screen, how you were going to screen it, because those Eldar, they're going to be nipping all over the place and you can't cover the whole board. Now, with bigger armies, smaller tables, it's very easy to stick enough infiltrators across your table that no fuckers deep striking.
Yeah, true.
You can screen out whole chunks of the board so nobody's outflanking, and that means that you're basically forcing whoever you're playing against to be a stand-up fight, and the game suddenly devolves down into this kind of stand-up fight. There's no outmaneuvering your enemy or anything like that. So I think we need to go back to smaller armies. So there's a bit more breathing room, so things like speed become more important. Bigger tables, again, get that bigger breathing room. And then we can go back to things like scatter dice for deep strike. And what that means then is, I don't mind the 3-inch deep strike. Remember that we had that? And then, no, 3-inch deep strike. But now think, 3-inch deep strike, but with a 6-inch scatter. And if you scatter onto your opponent, you're dangerous terraining.
I do think that I miss some of the fun and the randomness, because that's something that happens. Like, I still have a game against my friend Kev that you guys have seen on the channel where it was like years ago, I scattered into a high ruin and dangerous, and like lost half my squad to dangerous terrain.
So,
and it's like
you've got, now it's a risk versus reward. If you're going to go for that 3-inch deep strike with your shooty hand pistol, plasma pistol boys, whatever they're called now, you're going to go, right, I'm going to squeeze in. I've got a 3-inch deep strike. Yeah, but you've got a 6-inch scatter, mate. So if you land on that squad, you're dangerous terraining. And I'd even leave it that if you do that, you come down, you're within 1 inch. You've not charged, but you're in combat.
Yeah, here's the...
That makes it really risky to go for that 3-inch charge. If it comes off and you don't scatter too much, wicked, all great. But if you do scatter, suddenly you're losing very expensive units. So now it's sort of, do I go over here, a bit further away, but I've got no chance really of getting myself killed, or do I just go for it and go and pile in there? You know, you can even take that further. That you can bring the rules back for drop pods, whereas drop pods it's the other way around.
Yeah, I'll let you talk in a moment, John. Don't worry.
They attack your opponent. So instead of you taking dangerous terrain, effectively your opponent does, and you can use them offensively. You know, it adds that little bit of thought to when you're putting things down. It prevents stuff like at the moment you can do with demons have got a way of doing a 6-inch deep strike with like an auto charge on the end of it. And it's just like, right, well, there you go. I'm just dead. Either I screen out the whole board or I'm just dead. Well, now you didn't screen out the whole board. He 6-inch deep struck, but accidentally teleported himself into a ruin and, you know, phased their own head into a wall. Sucks to be you. You shouldn't have done that risky move. Could have won you the game. Didn't.
Tony, I love your ideas. I really do. I just really wonder, like, it comes back to what you said, like in last edition, where you're like, they're trying to make this into a sport. And to make it into a sport, you lose a lot of the fun and randomness. And I think the point I was trying to make about my friend Kev was like the stories. Like you lose, like if every game is a carbon copy, you don't have that story where the Bloodthirster of Khorne appeared in the ruin and he's just instantly dead and that won you the game. That's a cool story. Like, oh, do you remember that one time you tried to... With Kev, it's always like, you remember that one time you tried to bring in the jump intercessors, they landed on the fucking tallest piece of terrain in the game and half the squad died. And that honestly happened 20 years ago, but we still remember it and he still brings it up because it was unique and it was fun. And I agree with you in principle, but I don't think we'll get it.
We almost certainly won't get it because it's the opposite of what they're trying to do with a lot of things. But I genuinely think, even for a competitive game, taking out the risk factor in Deep Strike just means that it's become ubiquitous. They're having to put in rules changes to fix Deep Strike at the moment because it's too powerful. Well, hang on. The whole point of deep striking, from a teleport that's unreliable is it's unreliable.
Yeah.
So if you're going to base your whole game-winning strategy around it, be prepared for it to go wrong. Maybe don't have your whole army deep striking on. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing even for competitive, because what it's doing is it's saying, right, you're bringing in a risk factor if you do that. You're adding randomness in, or do you go, no, I'm not going to deep strike. I'm going to keep my stuff right back. I'm going to maybe walk it on. Even if you say like strategic reserves aren't affected by this because they're walking on. They're not going to walk into a wall. But now they can't go anywhere. They're only being out. It means you've got to think about what you're doing instead of just going, oh, there's a gap over there, plonk. Never goes wrong because everyone knows how reliable 40k teleportation is.
I do miss bigger boards. It would be nice to see them back. I can't see anybody at Games Workshop signing off on going towards smaller armies again.
No, they sell too many models.
Basically.
If they shifted the meta all the time, though, everyone would have to buy more models anyway. You just wouldn't be able to build them all the time. I would argue it would mean that the entry point for building an army and playing a tournament would be lower. So maybe more people then would enter tournaments because you needed less models. But you still have the same amount of churn on new things you'd have to buy. So I don't think it affects total number of... Nobody sits there with exactly 2,000 points of models, do they?
No, and I guess your point earlier about the Salt Terminators having shit rules for 2.5 years is a pretty good point. That if they just went through every 6 months and went, right, what units are not being used by Space Marines? Oh, no one's using Assault Terminators. Yeah. Made them good, and then 6 months later they went, oh, now nobody's using Tactical Marines. Made them good. They could. Maybe they could probably get more sales if they paid more attention to the crap units. Fire Strike Servo Turrets. I mean, we could literally sit here and name 20 units that are complete pish, couldn't we?
What? As in, like, units that are going to get squatted because they're shit or something?
No, yes. Units are going to get squatted because I hope they get squatted. Please, please, please get rid of that fucking Mario Kart. Ugly as all shit. Nobody wants it. Awful model. You fucked up. Sort it out. You did it with the Wolfie heads. Remember those?
We did this last episode. Let's not do it again, mate. Come on. If people want to hear our rant about this stuff, they can watch our previous episode, which had no controversy in it whatsoever.
Yeah, none of that. Right. Okay, so what do you think, Mark?
What do I think?
Any other ideas?
Like I said, I could see... I think, I agree that deep striking is possibly a bit too common at the moment. Or at the very least, I think mid-game deep striking is a bit too common. But apart from that, I'm relatively happy with the movement phase. Big boards, I could see being good.
It's just more fun.
Maybe I'd have room to put a bloody drop pod on the board again if the boards were bigger. That'd be nice.
Yeah. I've been playing 1,500 points, and I still play on a 6x4 because I can't be bothered to tape it off. And it just feels better. The game just plays faster. It's smoother. It's genuinely.
And if they change the board size now, after people have bought a load of terrain and prepped for all the board sizes as they are now, that'd be a whole load more sales from things. So I don't know.
They changed it so it fit kill team boards, didn't they?
Is that what it was?
Yeah. So it's now made up of an exact number of kill team boards, whereas before it was slightly bigger.
Okay. I don't know why they did it, to be honest, but
yeah, that's why they did.
Possibly something else.
whatever.
No, in general, movement I'm pretty happy with. I like the interactions. I like the way things work. I like the planning that you got to do with it. I like the restrictions on what can move where and move through things and how. Yeah, I'm generally all right.
I've got another idea how to make it better.
Go on.
Right, World Eaters with one of the detachments have got a strat which is smashed through. For 1 CP, a vehicle can drive through a building. Just make that a universal rule, universal strat, please. Because then all of a sudden, with those new terrain-heavy boards, I can bring Baneblades again. Because they can actually work. I mean, it's going to cost me a CP every turn, but I could actually have a super heavy tank on the table.
And it takes a piece of terrain off the board after you drive through it.
No. Just basically just move from.
No. It should do.
Yeah, I would like that, actually. It would give the board some realism or dynamicness.
Maybe the vehicle takes some damage.
Yeah, T6
but
mortal wounds based on the side of the vehicle.
If the vehicle was bigger than the ruin, then you actually remove the ruin, but you place it on top of the vehicle because now it's collapsed on top of the vehicle and he's driving around with a wizard tower on top.
Now you could just make the vehicle
taking it too far now.
Yeah, just take the vehicle D6 mortal wounds or something, and it takes out the piece of terrain. How cool would that be?
Move tanks through buildings with these new very terrain-heavy tables would really mean that tanks would start to have a bit of a place. Or just hang on, big vehicles would have a bit of a place again, because at the moment, if anybody's tried to use an Astraeus in a game of 40k, you'll suddenly find that you can't effectively.
Just being able to smash terrain with rhinos would be great.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Rhinos
rhinos
smash
doing donuts and just smashing 2 or 3 buildings at a time. That'd be pretty cool.
The World Eaters rule works fine. I just think maybe make that a universal rule.
No, I can see that.
You can bring some of those physical bigger.
I could get behind that.
There's no,
because they're just too big. But I'm going back to the Astraeus, but it is a legitimate. It's a very expensive model. It's a legitimate model. It's not Legends or anything else like that. But you cannot use it, I don't think, on any of the current 40k tournament boards. Which to me is a problem with that. If you've got units that you can't use because they don't fit and there's no way of driving them through buildings.
Yeah, no, I mean that is a problem. Have you got a slide on terrain? Are we coming to that?
Yeah, we've got the terrain later on.
Let's move on then, and we'll get to terrain.
Let's move on then.
I think we've run movement into the ground.
Nice.
Love it. Shooting stuff. So the way that the shooting phase, I mean, I know none of us are experts on this. I know that. We're much better at the next one.
I played a shooting detachment to a tournament like 2 months ago.
Yeah, it went well for you though, didn't it?
I won 1 game, thank you very much.
So, what do we think about the shooting phase, Mark?
Come back to me.
All right, John.
What do we think about the shooting phase? I think in general, it's okay. I don't know if I have a problem with any of it. I think I probably have more of a problem with some of the balance in the shooting phase. Like this edition, they said that they were going to make things less killy.
Yeah.
You still have a bunch of guns with like AP 4 and 5, which make literally no sense to me. So there's a huge disparity in the weapons, which I think would...
Yeah.
If they could squeeze that to make more sense, I would love it. The thing I think I hate the most about shooting phase is when you get... because I play Marines, and typically Marines don't have invuln saves. When you get shot, and you do not even get to roll a saving throw. I think that's probably the thing I hate the most about the shooting phase. Because... like, what's the fucking point of having power armor or a tank if you never get to roll a saving throw? Like, anytime you remove an interaction, like, it feels much worse to just be like, oh, you've been hit by 2 las cannons, pick you guys up, as opposed to you've been hit by 2 las cannons, just save on a 6 or something. So...
there used to be that rule, didn't there? I don't know if Space Marines had it. Right, I'm going back a long way here because I'm thinking Warhammer Fantasy.
When cover always gave you like a 6-up or a 5 or something.
Like Lizardmen had that rule, scaly skin. Their saving throw could never be modified to worse than a 6-up.
Yeah, I think that could be a great general rule to have for some armies, maybe. I mean, I guess it's just a 6-up invuln. But I think overall the shooting phase is probably fine. I think there's some over complexity if you're playing against Tau, where you've got like spot, guiding, blah 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 blah. Like if you're playing against Tau and you don't know Tau, it's a fucking nightmare because you're just like they're like, oh, this guy's guided and he's AP ignore cover and blah blah blah, and you're like, how is he getting all this? And well, this guy here is spotting him, and this guy, so like it was supposed to be simpler. It's still kind of confusing at times, and in a tournament as well. You want to be able to easily understand what your opponent's doing, and when I played against Tau, I trusted the person I was playing against, but I was like, if sometimes you might play against someone could definitely take advantage of new players on that, and people do, right? Like there's always someone who's the lowest common denominator, I guess. So,
yeah. On a related note, indirect fire. I kind of feel like how. It should be something, but it isn't. And from a balance purpose, I can see why it is awful as well, because as you say, it's kind of a non-interactive mechanic. But equally so, you're playing armies from the far future. Some of them should be able to be bombed out of existence.
I mean, you've got artillery, you've got mortars. I mean...
The only hitting on 4s for indirect fire has all but nerfed it. So I'm okay with it.
You know what I think would fix it? Because this is a real problem, and I do worry about it. There's two things that I wonder if you could do, and you can shout me down on this, but I think bringing back some old mechanics for indirect fire.
You're going with scatter dices again?
Well, you could scatter dice it. So they used to work with more, you used to guess range, and then your ballistic skill could move it. So you'd scatter it and reduce it by your ballistic skill.
Yeah. I appreciated it from a trolley point of view, but I hated it.
It's the reason they got rid of it was annoying to use with terrain. Templates and scatter just was annoying to use in terrain.
Overall, the change from how many models you cover with a template to I'm just rolling a dice to see how many of your unit get hit by it.
If you remember,
it makes it less realistic, but it makes it so much smoother. I'm really happy they did it.
Well, you remember when it came in, because it came in for. Do you remember the old City Fight supplement? If you played a City Fight game, you ditched the templates and you rolled a d6 for a flamer, 2d6 for a ordnance blast template, and d3 whatever for a blast or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, and now that's all baked into the stat line of the gun, which is cool.
Yeah, so they just got rid of it. But I do think you need to either add in a bit more randomness, because what you don't want is people being able to indirect fire everything off the board, which is what Tau were doing.
Yep.
And Eldar.
And Eldar and Guard to an extent. But they should be, you're dropping great big bombs on people's heads from the sky. It should be fairly devastating. It just needs to be a bit more random. The other thing you could do, and I did wonder about this, is introducing the idea of reintroducing the idea of minimum range.
That's cool.
So, because it used to be things like you didn't have nearly as many indirect fire weapons, but if you got close to them, they couldn't shoot you.
Yeah, I used to have minimum range on pistols, where if you were like half range of the pistol, you used to get like an extra +1 to hit or an extra point of AP.
If these kind of indirect fire, because they are clearly artillery, they're designed for shooting things a long way away. So if you give them, say, a minimum range of, I don't know, 12 inches or 20 inches, say, then suddenly, sure, you can build this incredibly powerful lineup of indirect fire weapons, but if your opponent gets up in your face, you can't shoot them. And suddenly all those mortars are looking a bit iffy. Because that'll mean that you can't use indirect fire to target the midfield.
I admit I was surprised when minimum range on certain weapons like that went away. It always struck me as a very sensible thing to have. And
you shouldn't be able to shoot a basilisk up into the air and land it 2 inches away from you.
Correct, yes.
That makes zero sense. Because then suddenly artillery is artillery.
A basilisk should be on a 40k field at all, frankly. But yeah, sure.
One of my favourite games of all time. I was playing this huge game, and we allowed you to shoot from one table to the next. and we were measuring across the store that we were playing in, across all the tables, shoot other people's games and things with basilisks and that. It was wicked.
That's cool.
But just by saying to indirect fire, the more powerful ones are more powerful, therefore can't shoot to things that are close up. So if you want to bring a load of really cool indirect fire weapons, well, you're going to have to deploy them in your back corner as far away as you can to try and keep them firing as much as they can. They can't hit the midfield. So the only thing they're going to be useful for doing is clearing off campers on people's homes' objectives or dueling with each other. Your artillery shooting each other because everything else is within its minimum range.
Going back to what John said a moment ago, I do think that this whole argument about GW said the game would be less lethal is a bad argument to have. And the reason why is because if your stuff's being killed, then the game is too lethal. And if your stuff's if you're not killing things quickly enough, then the game is not lethal enough. So the argument people make always varies on what's happening to you at any given time and not based on like an overall picture of balance. So
personally,
I'm not sure it's a great argument.
I quite like lethal, if I'm honest. Don't get me wrong, I don't like uninteractivity. Like John says, I want a better old saving throw. But not being funny, if I got shot in the face by a super mega death space laser, there should only be that smoking pair of boots where I was standing. I quite like the high lethality, but then you got to balance it with something. If things are going to be mega powerful, then you either need lots, big units or whatever, or there needs to be counters for it, or they need to be really expensive, those powerful weapons and guns and things like that. I never had a problem with the lethality, say, of 9th. I thought it was quite fun. All right, maybe you could say, well, it should be super lethal, but anti-tank guns should be good at killing tanks. Okay, maybe you build this mega tank, which is a super armored monstrosity of doom, and then that becomes quite hard to kill. But that's its big thing, I don't think that there's a problem, like you were trying to say there, Mark. I really don't think that the idea of making that you can't make something less lethal. They're giant space lasers. They're either going to feel completely anemic, or it's going to be cool. Doom is a great video game example of this. Everything in Doom is incredibly lethal, but it's still a massive power fantasy as you're smashing all things up. And if you're lobbing railgun darts at people, you should be atomizing things.
The difference with Doom is that the demons you're fighting against are all AI controlled, and they're not going to complain like the opposing player is going to complain when you get to be able to trade your army. What?
Well, if you play on a proper skill level, unless you're playing on easy like a noob.
Question. I mean, it sounds to me like there needs to be two versions of the game, honestly. A fun version and a competitive version. But not like Crusade, because I guess Crusade is their fun Crusade. I'm thinking more like, you remember back in the day when I'm shooting your whirlwind, for example, I can blow up its turret, I can blow up its track, or I can blow up its hull.
So I think this version of the game does exist, and I think it's called Horus Heresy.
Yeah, but the big downside to that?
You don't get all the factions.
Yeah, no Xenos.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's the big thing. I don't want to play Space Marines versus Space Marines. I quite like gunning down orcs.
Yeah, and the flavour that they bring, and the Eldar and everything else.
Eaten by nids and things like that. It's like Aeronautica Imperialis. Have you seen anybody play it recently?
No, not since it went Heresy
as
only.
As they made it Heresy only, nobody wanted to play it anymore.
Yeah.
Because I completely agree. The problem is with Crusade is because I do think that Crusade goes too far.
I was going to say, how many editions has Crusade been out for? 2 now.
2 now.
Yeah,
Come out
I think
9.
I've never played Crusade.
No,
not even built a list. Not even
I love
interested.
it in principle, but in practice, you're right. There's too much going on.
The problem with Crusade is it's a campaign mode.
Yes. I'd much rather have a fun mode that's a one-off game, because that's what I'm looking for. By one game, like I played Boarding Actions this week. Super fun.
Oh, God, yeah.
I mean, we're going to get into that anyway. I've got a later slide on it, but I do think that it's worth bearing in mind that
Okay. Anything else about
I don't want to
shooting?
go too far because, like, you know, you were talking about the shooting the turret, shooting thing. You know, we did an episode a while ago on BattleTech, and Jesus Christ, that's the dullest game ever made. Alpha Strike, love it, but BattleTech, hang on, let me roll my scatter dice. Okay, I've hit you 23 times. Let me roll each one of those 23 hits. This one's hit the wiring on your left leg. What's that wiring effect on your left leg done? Well, it's made you slightly unstable if you're turning left, but only if you're going over 40 kilometers per hour and only if you're on sand. It's like, Jesus Christ, each turn of this game takes 4 hours. It's too much. No, keep it fast. Fast is fine.
Yeah.
When I first got into 40k, you had 3 pictures of a tank and a translucent plastic targeting template that you put over the picture of the tank, and it scattered and moved up and down. You hit different bits of the tank based on where it hit.
That's fine. I don't mind the old armor value.
That was stupid as well.
But it took too long.
All right.
You know, I don't need more crunch. I just need more fun.
Shall we move on?
All right. Yeah. So indirect fire needs fixing. None of us quite know how to do it.
No, it needs to be present, but it needs to be not as crap as it is at the moment, I think.
It's like flyers. Never going to fix them.
Pretty much.
Overpowered or broke or just don't work. They're like rubbish. That's your options.
Yes.
All right.
So, let's move on to something that we know and love. Hitting things.
I think fights first is a horrible mechanic. And I think it would be better replaced with something like the old initiative system.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think an initiative-based system, modifiers up or down on the stats based on weapons or what you're doing, or strats or detachments and whatnot.
Would you go back to 3rd edition then, initiative, but charging got you an extra attack?
Yeah, something like that. Because at the moment, like I played an Eldar list where every single unit just about had fight first. So my army is a melee army. I can't charge anything. And the couple of units he did not have fight first, he was allowed at the start of every fight phase to just pick any unit in his list that now fights first. So it was like, okay, so half your army fights first. And then of the few things that I could actually charge that do not fight first, you could pick some of them to fight first. So I can never actually... like this completely counters my army. I cannot fight this. Because even though I am the player going, you're always fighting before me. There's no situation I'm fighting before you ever. So how do I deal with that? The
idea of initiative. The idea of fights first and fights normal and fights last and all that is basically initiative light anyway. Really.
Yeah, I just think it would be better if it was actual initiative. For example, Death Company on the picture should have very high initiative because they're literally running at the enemy, I imagine, with 2 chainswords like this. How are you fighting before me? Because I am a fucking crazed lunatic that is swinging. I'm swinging 10 feet before I even get to you, right?
Yeah, I do get what John's saying because what it gives you is it would still, Eldar would still most of the time probably fight first. But what it would give you is that level of granularity. So your Eldar would fight before your Terminators, and they'll probably fight for your tactical marines, but they're not going to fight before your Death Company. But maybe Howling Banshees would, because they're just that fast.
Yeah.
And then
Gene Stealers. You remember playing Gene Stealers? They had like initiative 8 or something. They just fought before everything.
You've got that extra granularity, and then things like war gear and that, or charging, can affect it, can't you?
Yeah.
The old, things like frag grenades used to give an extra bonus to your initiative.
All right, on the subject of granularity, this is a little pet thing that I've had for a while now. We'll go off on a slight tangent, but I'll mention it because you've prompted me to do so. I think we shouldn't go off D6s anymore. I think it should go off D20s.
A lot of people think that. Do you know why the D6s came in the first place?
Because they're the basic dice that everyone has.
Yeah. Basically, the idea was that everyone always had stacks of D6s lying around. So in the early days when you didn't have many dice and they weren't quite as easy to buy, D6s were the most ubiquitous. Everyone had a few, can play Monopoly.
Even shifting up to D8 would be an improvement, yeah.
A lot of people have mooted that playing the game with bigger dice would be better in a lot of ways, and I can see that. But there is
you can have more subtlety in the differences between strengths, between AP, between the different stats.
There is something so fun.
Yeah.
With rolling lots of dice. When you're like an orc player or you've got an assault cannon, you're like, how many shots has that assault cannon got? 40. Have these. And it's just like this massive bucket of dice. You go, bosh. that's really quite fun.
Yeah, and it is easier when you do that with D6.
And it's easier
Yeah,
when
that's
you do that with D6s. I don't think that bringing some D8s and D10s and no. What was it? So D12. One of them is rubbish.
D12. D4 is a bit weird. It's like a
D8
triangle.
is rubbish one.
But yeah, it's just a terrible dice. Never use those.
Eight's reasonably sturdy. 10's a bit weird.
Yeah,
Well,
you
I'm
want
quite
one that
happy
rolls quite well.
20's probably a bit too easy to knock around if you're rolling a crap load of them on a table.
But I do think that maybe bringing a few others in wouldn't hurt you with that.
Hmm.
I do like John's idea of adding a bit of granularity into the initiative for melee and that. The only other thing I was going to say is they kept saying they're going to make things less lethal, and they did for melee armies. It's like all of your AP went out the window. Where's all my AP gone? Did the guns get all their AP nerfed? Oh, well, a couple of them did, but largely no. They're all still AP 4 and 5.
Yeah, you're right. And fucking Chain Fist is AB2. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
The damage is rubbish on guns, though. No, damage is much higher as well. So if you use a gun, you get better AP and better damage. And if you use a Chain Fist designed for carving through armor, you've got only 2 damage and you get less attacks. So you don't get many attacks. They don't do much damage, and
you only hit on 4s with Chain Fist as well, because I mean you can't hit that wall in front of you, of course. No, I'm
weapons profiles. If you're going to keep deadly for guns, they should be deadlier for melee, because there's more of a risk in using melee than there is in shooting anyway.
Go on, John.
I was going to say, I think in 9th edition they still had fights first as an enhancement you could have on the charge, but it got confusing because you got fights first from charging, then you had double fight first from your enhancement, and then that still fought before the fight first defender, so it confused the fuck out of everybody. But yeah, I think an initiative value where it's like, my initiative is 6, your initiative is 5, I'm fighting first. It's pretty fucking simple.
The same, you hit simultaneously. Deal with it.
+1 for charging, -1 for a heavy weapon.
I like that idea, Mark. Why have we got no fights where people are hitting simultaneously? That would be cool. We both got initiative 6, right? You do all your attacks, I do all my attacks, and we both take casualties. Everyone rolls at full strength.
I'd have to dig out my my rule books, but I'm sure in earlier editions we did have fights simultaneously.
Yeah, because you would have wipes. You would literally.
It's one of the things I liked about the most recent Apocalypse version as well, where both sides shot simultaneously, and you didn't remove any models until both sides are completing all of their shooting. It was great.
Maybe that fixes the turn 1 dilemma that we had. In that, like, in turn 1, you don't remove any casualties until both players have had their turn 1. So everybody is alive in turn 1 to do their move, to do their shooting. Then you take the casualties, because there's no real combat in turn 1, right? Because you can't get close enough.
Generally speaking, yeah, you're right.
So I think
that might cause some problems. Only that I tried to do in Giant Apocalypse games. Admittedly, this was 9th edition. I tried to get that rule to work, and I just couldn't make it work when I tried to play it.
We just need counters for who was dead.
Where it just didn't make any sense. But I do like the idea of. I really like bringing back initiative and having initiative modifiers. And if you've got the same initiative as your opponent, at the same time, you might wipe each other out.
So basically, what we're asking here is a little bit more detail than the simplification that's happened over the last couple of editions.
Yeah, it's too simple, and it's too easy to counter with like half some armies, like in RE, just half the fucking army fights first. It's stupid.
Yeah, and I'd like a bit more lethality in my melee weapons, please.
That's a gorgeous chaplain, that is.
If I shoot you, I'm not taking any risks in shooting you. But if I walk up and risk getting stabbed myself, I should have a better chance of doing damage, I feel.
They should redo that chaplain as a modern chaplain model.
It's a classic, isn't it? It's the old Death Company one.
Yeah.
Right, okay, let's keep rolling. Let's keep on rolling. Morale.
Morale's always been a joke, hasn't it? There's no edition where it's not been a joke.
That rabbit's lethal. Run away! Run away!
I like the idea that they mooted where if you were suffering from a morale break, then you couldn't do stratagems or your OC counted for 0. And it would actually matter when you got battle shocked and all this sort of stuff in this edition. And it has once again come to precisely dick.
I think part of the problem is that it depends when you take the battle shock, because if in a lot of ways you can battle shock your opponent, then they immediately get to recover from battle shock.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it has no effect on them whatsoever.
Correct.
Because it's their turn next, and they recover from battle shock in the command phase. So it makes it completely worthless. I mean, even if they just made it that battle shock, you couldn't recover from it for a whole turn.
And another side of the argument could be, well, nobody likes their models to be battle shocked. Well, tough fucking shit.
But I mean, there's at least a point. You know, I quite like, but we're getting too complex again. I liked the old flea mechanics.
I like the mechanic where when you're battle shocked, the idea is the squad starts to flee, the sergeant in the beautiful photo here shoots the fleeing guy in the head, and everyone else goes, all right, we're good now.
See, I never liked fleeing as a mechanic. I never liked the whole making your models move, run away in all sorts of different directions, but I choose where they move and I can do it in an advantageous situation. And I like the simplicity that, right, these guys are now psychologically unbalanced. They can't focus properly. They can't do all their special tricks. They just sort of stand there and try and defend themselves haphazardly.
Maybe that's it then. See, they don't actually physically run away, but once they're broken, they just stand there and do nothing. But they'll fight back if somebody tries to stab them. But they won't. They'll just stand there hiding with their heads, you know.
Yeah, which is what being battle shocked is kind of intended to do with the whole no OC and no stratagems.
They can effectively fight at full power.
Yeah, they fight at full power, which is stupid.
They can charge, they can shoot, they can do whatever they want. So if they lose the ability basically to move or go on the offensive, and they don't have objectives anymore, then suddenly that's a really sucky thing to have to do.
And there's this really stupid mechanic as well, where like you have taken, let's say, Tony, you have an orc war boss with 20 orcs, and in my turn, I have killed 19 of the orcs. So you have to take a battle shot because you've got the war boss on one. But in my turn, if I kill all 20 orcs and you're left with just the war boss, the character looks around at his entire squad who have just been gunned down and goes, well, I'm on full wounds, so I'm fine. Which is really like, so it's more advantageous of me to stop killing you at 19 dead models.
All right. So here's my fix then. If you battle shocked, it lasts for a complete turn.
Yes, agreed.
It lasts. And if you're battle shocked, you can't move or commit any offensive action towards another player or unit. You just have to stand there.
Yeah,
or maybe shoot at a penalty, because I don't know, pointing your gun at someone and going bah kind of feels like something a battle shock person should do.
Yeah, maybe you should shoot with -1 to your hit roll or something.
Or
you know, like
you count as being shooting in Overwatch, and like you're only hitting on 6s because you're that disturbed.
Only able to get on 6s. I do like the idea of making so they can't move, because because you've pinned them basically. They're too busy hiding. They're holding cover. They're not getting.
Or they're running around and whatever.
Yeah.
On the
Also, should they be? They shouldn't be able to charge when they're battle shocked either.
God, no. That is a cohesive, planned, executed offensive maneuver. Which
So they shoot, but they're only on 6s, and they can't move anywhere. And it's going to last for a whole turn. There's nothing you can do about it. It will last for a turn. Don't get yourself battle shocked if you care about that unit.
Yeah, I feel like I would like to be allowed to move as long as you end further away from enemy models. So the idea is like they're falling back.
Or objective.
Yeah, you
otherwise you might say, well, bugger, I don't care, I'm moving that objective.
Yeah, so you wouldn't be allowed to move onto an objective you don't control, and you have to move further away from enemies if you move. So you could at least pull them back. That's it. That's all you can do. You can pull back, you can shoot on 6s.
So I don't know that I'd do that, but then maybe being able to do that is a sort of thing that like a commissar would let you do.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. You effectively, they need that character. Unless they've got a character in that squad
they
keep
can't.
them along. They just sit there because there's nobody giving them any orders.
Yeah, they just sit there hunkering down.
The benefit of having a leader, I suppose.
Benefit of having leaders in squads.
Yeah, there could be a general leader rule. If a squad is led by a leader, when they're battle shocked, they are allowed to fall back.
Which could encourage more cheap leaders to go and upgrade units with, and I could see that being a tactical advantage worth doing.
Because putting characters with squads, and that's cool.
Look at us. We have just fixed 11th edition 40k, and do you know what we'll get? We will just get hate in the comments. And we fixed it.
If you hate us, tell us you hate us and why, because I want to drink all your salty tears.
But do you know, it's funny when you put... I've been playing with Battleshock for 2.5 years, and I think it's a terrible mechanic, and one 10-minute conversation with you guys, and it's fixed. It could be fixed.
It's fixed for us. Maybe not for everybody, but who cares
I'm
about
sure
everybody
there's going to be some edge case where it's not an appropriate thing, but also it does things like, for example, it gives custodians a point to their high leadership that they've somehow lost again. You know, custodes don't suffer from this, or they shall know no fear. Space Marines can always fall back, even if they haven't got a character. There you go. There's a reason for they, and thou shall know no fear. You know, it brings back some of these kind of key areas that people had.
And by having multiple implications and effects of battle shock like that, you can have abilities that negate bits of that, but not all of it, to represent those. Yeah, that could be good.
You can have an enhancement that means that if a unit is attached to a character with this enhancement and become battle shock, they can still fire to full effect.
Or still charge, because screw whatever. You all, this is how I react to being battle shocked.
Because they're corn berserkers.
And
the reaction to that, or orcs, is charge. It just gives a little bit more interest to it, and it means that it's not worthless anymore.
Yeah, no, I agree.
That's good.
Right, problem solved. Next problem. Psychic. Now, I've put this in here a bit like a phase because it's not a phase anymore, and I know you want to bring it back, John.
Yeah,
so
I want.
Let's start with you. Why do you want to bring back the psychic phase?
I did actually want to, not necessarily. Well, yeah, necessarily. It's not as much bring back the psychic phase as it is. My idea was more like the customization that you had in the psychic phase, right? Like every psyker at the moment, their powers are now baked on their data sheet. There's no flexibility. You know, like some of the psychers lost their most iconic powers. Some of the psychers added another layer of depth to your army. Now it's very much like most of them have a smite. Most of them have like a feel no pain maybe for the unit they're leading, and then like one other weird mechanic. But like, it very much limits the characters you can pick, because there's always going to be a best one, right? Like for Space Marines, for example, maybe there's a librarian that gives the unit the 4-up invuln save. So we're just going to determine that giving a 4-up invuln save to the number of units he can lead, he is the best librarian, you should always bring him, right? So all the other ones are instantly less valuable because 4-up invulnerable save on a unit is very good. And I also think that even if, like, I know every army used to have like 6 powers. I don't know if we need 6 powers, because there's always like 3 pretty shit ones anyway, right? So you probably have like 3 powers per army. So you're not having to... I mean, they already have all the powers from previous editions. Just pick the best 3. Pick the... and it can let you do some things that your army couldn't do. And I think a great one for Space Marines was like Psychic Fortress, right? And it was just like, around the Psyker, you created an invuln bubble. Units within 6, I think, got a 5-up invuln save. Space Marines really lack the fact that they have no invuln save, and having a power like Psychic Fortress that I could give, and you can only cast it once, same, give that somewhere in the board, added like another layer to Space Marines, where you're like, okay, on my left flank, I can put a bunch of units that don't have invulns, because I'm gonna Psychic Fortress on the flank, and I think the psychic phase is essentially just, well, it's been removed completely, and now it's just like, typically most psychers just have like a damaging attack or a doom bolt if you're Thousand Suns, because they're like the psychic army, and then you just have one random like extra saving throw or extra feel no pain or extra like -1 to hit me because I'm a psyker and leading a unit, and like it's lost a lot of flavor in my opinion.
Well,
so I initially didn't like all the changes to psychers, and on reflection, thinking about it in preparation for this video, I am very happy with and I like the removal of the psychic phase, because there are armies that had no interaction with it and there are armies that had complete interaction with it, and removing that puts them on a level field which is more interactive for both players, which is great. I think that psychic powers as a whole can be just another weapon profile or just another ability that buffs a unit. And why should you have to bother to have a psychic phase to do all of that when it can just be baked into the stats of what the unit does? Great. I love that. I think it's brilliant. I like the idea. I love the implementation of leaders in this edition. And most psychers in this edition are leaders, and they join units and they buff them through their abilities one way or the other, and they occasionally have attacks. And I really like how that has come about, and I would love to see that continue, because it has allowed GW to do something with the balance of synergies of Death Stars they've never managed to do before, by policing what leaders can join what units and what abilities they give to what units. And I think that's been really effective. And psychic powers are a part of that, because of the buffs that they grant the units. They now no longer can be spread to create ultra mega Death Star combos from ridiculous units that would have never worked together previously. I think I would like to see more variance in what powers units could have, but not loads. I like the idea that a soldier has been practicing this one psychic power over and over to be able to use it reliably under duress in combat situations, and that is the power that this unit has and can use, rather than I'll just pick the one of the 6 that I like today, and we're only ever picking the one of the 6 anyway. But we've all got this massive flexibility, and like John said, there's only ever like 2 powers you'd like to use out of those 6 before anyway. So apart from a bit of improvement on what the powers are, maybe making them more flavorful, more interesting, because like you say, just granting a 5-up feel no pain versus mortal wounds is a pretty shit psychic power, really. I'm very happy with the implementation of psychics in 11th edition.
Fair enough. I'm a little bit on the fence on this. So I actually do like the idea of getting rid of the psychic phase. I didn't to begin with, because
we don't like change, do we, precious? No.
Yeah. But I do like the idea of it. It is a bit much, and I don't really understand why it needs to be a whole phase. Because, like you said, a movement power could just be used in the movement phase or whatever. But there's a couple of things that I've been thinking about how to try and improve this. I really don't like the lack of flexibility, and there used to be a lot of thought in, right, what powers am I going to give this space wizard? And being able
random powers can stay the fuck away.
Yeah, get rid of them.
That was bullshit.
Being able to buy a power was quite a nice system. It was quite fun. Admittedly, you did see some of the powers being used more than others, but that's a balance problem rather than a rules problem. So I do quite like being able to buy powers, because it does mean that you can buy a couple. You can only ever have 2, say, and you can whatever, and the special character might get 3 or might get whatever. I think that's how it used to be doing it. The other way I was thinking about trying to fix this is going completely the other way. And you have your tables. At the beginning of the game, you pick which set of psychic powers you want. If it's a Space Marine librarian, maybe he's got the Blood Angels powers, or he's got the standard powers, or he's got the obfuscation powers, or whatever. And you can cast each one of those powers once per game. So you've got your 5 or 6 powers, and let's say you want to use Psychic Fortress. You go, right, well, am I going to use Psychic? I can only cast 1 a turn. This turn, I'm going to cast Psychic Fortress, but that's the only turn I'm going to do it. It's turn 1, and I think there's going to be a lot of incoming fire this turn. So I'm going to cast Psychic Fortress this turn. I'm going to save my Doom Bolt for turn 3 when I'm a bit closer. I'm going to save my one that buffs up my melee ability to turn 4. Oh shit, my melee unit got dead. Now I can't use that psychic power. Well, I used it too late. A bit like you see sometimes with things like doctrines and things like that. You need to pick them for 1 turn of the game. Having something with that, with a little bit of your space wizards, means that they can be quite powerful, but because they are a one-shot wonder, you've got to be a little bit thoughtful about how and when you use them. And it also gives you an area you can break. Maybe Ahriman is just so fucking brilliant, he gets to cast them all twice. And Magnus, being Magnus, can do it 3 times. Or has no cap on how many times he can cast a power in the game. So only do 1 a turn, but he might be able to cast 5 Doom Bolts this game. And just then you've got that little bit of... Because, a Psychic Wizard is you could have a really low level wizard that only knows one power, like you say, practicing all the time. But Eldrad Ulf one probably knows more than one ability.
Yeah, Mephisto knows more than one
I'm going to hazard
ability.
a guess that the best space wizard in the
To be
universe.
fair, just going back on the Mephiston thing, Meph has got multiple abilities because some of it's into his Fiona Pain, some of it was an enhancement into his weapon that makes his sword have a base stats of 10 and whatever it is. So he's got multiple psychic powers on his data sheet. They just don't necessarily look like them. So sorry, I interrupted.
But just think it'd add a little bit more interest and variety, because the thing about your psychic based armies is now there is absolutely no difference between Thousand Suns and Sisters of Battle. Right? They're both mid-range damage shooting attacks. Oh, but these are mind bullets. All right, fine. No, what they are is 2d6 strength 5 shots.
Which
this is a flamer then.
If it's a psychic shooting attack, should it be any different from a regular shooting
no,
attack?
But if you make it a choice, then you've suddenly you can't just have an army that sits there and smites things, which was the old problem with Thousand Suns. You just put all your things into smite. They're going to have to vary up how they're doing the damage. They can't just do damage in the psychic phase. They could have one turn of everybody's using their Doom Bolt this turn, but then they haven't got any more for the rest of the game. So are you sure you really want to do that? And then you can make those powers quite impactful. A Doom Bolt fucking nukes someone once. You've Eye have changed him and you've turned him into a chaos spawn. You don't want that going off every turn, but it's pretty wicked that it happened once in the game.
Yeah, I think something needs done. Honestly,
it's a bit soulless at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's the lack of options. Those psychics used to give you options, and the options were taken away. So
yeah, it's not exciting. I'll absolutely go ahead with that.
Ditching the phase, I think actually I quite like, and I don't see any reason why a power that affects movement or a power that affects shooting, whatever, can't be in the appropriate phase.
Yeah, I agree.
There's now whole characters in armies you'll never take because this one psychic power that guy happens to get is useless.
Yep. Or you
attach
to the unit that you need the power on.
Or so you don't bring him. So that unit will never be seen because he's shite, because the power that someone's decided to give him is one that has no benefit to you.
Yeah.
And that's what he can do.
Was it a problem that Mephiston could jump forward and fly like he does in the books?
Oh, Mephiston's wings were so awesome.
I mean, he literally uses them in all the books all the time, right?
Oh, yeah. Like when he jumps out the back of the Thunderhawk that's flying on its way, and
Yeah.
I can't believe they didn't give him the wings. Like, what is that?
I want my flying dreadnought back.
Well, yeah. Okay. Shall we move on?
Yep.
Shall. Terrain. I found this beautiful example of some terrain.
I'm just going to look at this picture for a minute because I love this picture. This picture is from one of my very first White Dwarf magazines, and it has informed so much of the nostalgia I have for bits of Warhammer. You guys carry on. I'm just going to stare for a moment.
Classic Terminator.
You
putting hazard stripes on his power glove.
I will put hazard stripes on it. Based on what you said earlier, I think every L-shaped ruin should have toughness 10 and 20 wounds and a 2-up save, and we should just be able to blow them off the table if we don't like them. I mean, make it so it's like as difficult to kill as a Land Raider. But if you need to make a hole for your Baneblade to get across the table, make a fucking hole.
I love that terrain is as numerous, maybe.
Dense.
Is what I'm looking for. Dense on the battlefields as it is these days compared to how it used to be.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think it's great. I think that is a trend that is absolutely brilliant and should continue. But yeah, the idea of destructible terrain is one that I'm surprised hasn't.
That'd be pretty cool.
Anything with.
For me, it's.
I'd love to be able to have fortifications that do something worth a damn.
Sorry?
Because the fact that fortifications are now utterly irrelevant is a shame.
I don't like that the terrain is so. I know it has to be for tournament play, but I like asymmetric terrain. I just think it's more fun. Attackers and defenders. It's something like this image here. Look, we've got this cool bunker thing being held by some space marines against the pillaging elves.
That's a narrative game and a story game rather than a tournament game. You're
Whereas,
absolutely right.
like,
That's a different
ruins
environment.
are the dullest thing on earth.
But they're also universal and able to be quantified and make a tournament experience that is the same wherever you hold it in the world. And that has value.
I don't think it's bad. I think it's the only way you could do it for a competitive game. But I still don't like it. And I think this is more of a shift to competitive versus narrative or whatever. The default way of playing now in the rulebook, even if they say, right, in the rulebook, we're not going to give you any of those maps. They're in this separate tournament pack that you buy, because the standard way of playing 40k uses these maps that are more interesting, or these ways of playing that are more interesting. And this kind of like hyper balanced tournament play StarCraft mode is for those weird fuckers over there.
Remind me what the name of that...
You have to sign a disclaimer that says, I'm a sweaty neckbeard and this is how I want to play Warhammer.
Sorry, John?
In like second edition, there was like a bunker that Games Workshop sold.
Yeah.
And it was made of cardboard. And it was like a couple levels high. Remind me what that was called.
I don't remember, but I have actually got it. I don't know if I can, because I intentionally didn't use that picture. And I picked this picture over the picture of that cardboard bunker. Because I like this one because it had Blood Angels in it. And the one with the cardboard bunker that I found didn't. But I have genuinely got the cardboard bunker on my desktop here.
Cool.
I
like the terrain buildings they did when Apocalypse was a thing last time round with the Firestorm bunkers.
It was just called the Battle Bunker.
Yeah.
And I will post it. I'll tell you what, let me just see if I can show you a picture of it.
You stop sharing the screen and then reshare it.
That's what I'm going to do, yeah. I'm just getting it up on the...
I've put it up on the screen, the Imperial Battle Bunker. That was one of them. So the people watching will see that right now. And
you've got it.
Yeah, I've got it. I mean, you're not going to see it because I'm not sharing with you, but the viewers will see it. And then there was another one. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that we've lost... Don't get me wrong. I like competitive 40k. I've played a fuckload of competitive 40k over the last 10 years of a channel that does nothing but focus on competitive 40k. But I do think that there's a place, not for Crusade, because I don't want a campaign.
No.
I want, my 1,000 points of Space Marines are holding this bunker against the onslaught of,
2,000 points of Tyranids, but the bunker gives every one of my guys a 4-up in Von Slave, and there's a quad auto cannon in the tower that I can fire if my unit doesn't fire its own guns.
I think part of the problem why we've stopped seeing that may well be because that sort of stuff did get written in campaign supplements and didn't sell.
I don't know that it was if it was in a campaign supplement. I think the problem was that campaign supplements didn't sell.
Yeah.
And they still don't. I don't know many people who will buy many of those, because they do those campaign codexes, don't they?
Yeah, and they always have 2 or 3 armies in them, and
nobody really buys them.
Yeah, you've got contact with these 3 armies in, and you want one data sheet or something, so you're paying.
If the 6 scenarios in the core rulebook are, the standard way of playing is you roll a d6 and the scenario pops up as this, and this one's like an attack and defend. This one is like a take and hold. This one is a straight out slugfest. This one, and that's the standard way that Warhammer is expected to be played. And then your kind of more balanced mode is the off version rather than. I mean, it's a pipe dream because the advent of YouTube and the advent of people who take the game very, very seriously, it's a business for them.
Okay, 1 second.
It gets the
go on, John.
There is on eBay a sealed Imperial Battle Bunker from 1998. I can tell you it is sealed. Guess the cost. It's a bargain.
30 quid.
$249.99.
Jesus
I was
Christ! I'm
gonna
not paying
say
that.
I was gonna say 80 or 90.
Yeah.
Looks gorgeous though.
Wow.
Right. Can I get rid of this battle bunk? And go
Yeah,
back?
You
let's go
can,
back to
yeah.
what we were talking about.
Right. Yeah. I can't remember what we're saying now, but yeah, I don't know. I think the problem is that it's that, like I say, YouTube and the exposure. People expose more to competitive play, so that the default has now become that thing that they see more of.
Oh yeah.
And that's what they see. So
And
that's
people want to practice, and people have got this whole thing going on where we're going to go to a competitive, and we got to practice, and we got to compete, and we got to make sure that we're as good as we can be through practicing for all the tournament defaults that are going to be there.
Even those people that are never going to play a tournament. Yeah, the other day, I was teaching some students.
A balanced tournament environment provides the attraction that what I'm playing is going to be no more difficult for me than any other game, really. So it's definitely a thing.
Now, I was playing a game against my well, I wasn't playing against some students were playing a game, and they were playing 1,000-point games, right? Because that's the only models they own, and they were worried about the competitive. This is the best build that I should be using for the 8 models that I own. Right, you only own 8 models. Why are you worried about it? Oh, my mum's bought me this night, and it's not as good as that night, and the competitive scene says you need to play that night. Like, you're not going to a competitive scene because you're 14 and you can't drive to a competitive scene. Stop worrying about it and buy the one that's got the coolest, shiniest gun. Because by the time you get a driving license, the world would have been blown up anyway. So stop worrying about it. You know, it's not going to be an issue. But the kids see on the YouTubes, like, oh yeah, well, I was watching Art of War the other night. Again,
because peer pressure is a thing,
and so they think that that's how you have to play Warhammer, as opposed to no. That's the sweaty neckbeards. You're a normal person. You just play with the models you've got.
No, we're not. None of us are normal people.
Well, all right, but normal for nerdy people. But anyway, that's a different rant.
All right, that's definitely a different rant.
Since we talked about Ted getting even released. Okay, so I think we've not really had a lot to say on terrain. We quite like it.
We'd like bits of it. We don't like bits of it. Realistically, changing it is going to be a problem.
Blow it up.
That would be cool, wouldn't it? Okay, so this is my next one here. Paperwork. So this is list building, data sheets, and stratagems. I've sort of lumped them all in together. So I've got some great examples here of data sheet. Now, this is something that I just think I'd love for you all to sort of pay attention to, right? Back in this little corner here, if you let me blow it up. You can let me blow this up?
Yeah.
There we go. Designer's note. We've included Catachan Devils to allow players to practice their skills at making a really unique and individual unit. We won't be making models to represent many of the options allowed to a Devil squad. It's up to you to convert the models yourself. Now, this is from the official codex, and it just blew my mind at how far away that is from what we have today.
Yeah, and there are definable, quantifiable reasons why that's no longer the case. And generally speaking, it's money, and it's because people who are running GW from the point of view of accountability to the shareholders see every model that they have not sold you as a lot that you are using is a lost sale. So that's
we're not getting into that.
Unfortunately, a natural evolution.
That's something that I think everybody's a bit bitter about at the moment with the current season.
This is where I've had the most cause for stuff that I dislike about the current rules, and the loss of customizability of individual model loadouts, the loss of possibility for conversion and creativity and expression for what I want to take on my unit doesn't so much piss me off, but it really saddens me that that's the case now. It's a real shame. And the whole, this is the points cost for squad, that's it, is also a bit shit, and I don't like it. I think reinstituting points for differing weapon options should happen, because some of the options that you get between like a flamer or a hand flamer and plasma gun and a melter gun, balancing those so they're equal with slightly different stats is a bit crap. and they really should just have differing points values. And
Yeah.
I kind of get why they went away from it, but I think it's a shit reason. They should go back to points for loadouts.
Doesn't work because all it's meant is that everybody's got whatever the best gun is.
Yeah.
And yet, for example, I think that the Lemon Rust battle tank looks better without sponsons. But if I build mine without sponsons, I'm actively gimping myself now because the sponsons are free.
Yeah, I know. You're right. It's also boring. I don't want to say it's boring because my channel's all about competitive Warhammer 40k, but there's no variance. It's boring.
Yeah,
you can't choose. You can't customize.
Yeah,
I don't know how else to put it, but
I think most people are actually of the opinion now at the moment that they want the war gear back because it made there be a point to, you know, choosing. I'm going to give 3 power fists and I'm going to have 1 thunder hammer because they're a bit expensive, but I'm just going to bring the 1 because they're quite good.
There's no time spent list building now.
List building for me was a huge part of the hobby. It was
because you can spend so much time on it and pouring and
chatting with my friends and going, I've come up with this really cool combo. I'm going to give this guy this weapon. I'm going to give him this like enhancement, and then I'm going to put him with a unit of this, and that means that I've got this and a really interesting thing. Whereas now it's just like he comes with a power sword.
Yeah, and at the end of the list, I used to tweak everything. It was like, could I lose 1 chainsword here and 1 thing here, and that let me get 1 whole extra unit. Now you're at the end of the list, you're like, all right, well, I take scouts or an attack bike or a tech marine because nothing else fits, and I've got no flexibility there. I just have to throw something in that doesn't even fit what I'm trying to do.
I was putting a list together earlier, and I got 40 points left over.
Yeah, you're fucked. You're literally fucked.
Couldn't do anything. I only had 1 character in the army, so I couldn't give him another enhancement.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Do I just have a 40 points less then in this army?
Looking at something else on this screen, I'm glad the Force Org chart is gone, but I would like troops or battle line to matter more somehow, because currently the way they matter is they've got a little bit more OC than everything else, and occasionally you get missions in whatever mission pack is currently offering that gives them a bonus that is very circumstantial in like 1 of 9 missions. And if the troops in the battle line are the core of your army, then there should be a reason that they are.
Yeah, there's
and that should make them more compelling to be brought somehow.
I do miss the Force Org chart, but the way I think that they should re-implement it is that the detachments come with 1. So if you're going to play Sons of Sanguinius, you get this force organization chart that you have to run. Sons of Sanguinius is an assault-based thingy, so therefore you have to build your army around fast attack and assault units, right? I'm going to build this army here. It's a Firestorm 1. The Firestorm is designed to be built around troops and transport. So you've got to bring at least 4 units in transports.
So I get where you're coming from, but that also takes away freedom in list building possibilities and maybe combos that people might or might not have seen coming, flavored by the bonuses and attachments. Maybe incentivizing certain builds, sure, but not saying you can't bring this.
I'm not saying you can't, but it's like the Force Org chart here. So there used to be, for example, if you played Iron Warriors back when Force Org charts were a thing, you would be able to ditch 2 of your fast attack slots to gain an extra heavy support slot. Right?
Really?
Yep.
Was that a thing?
Was their and they could also bring, you know, basilisks and stuff if you remember, because Iron Warriors like big tanks.
That must have been a while ago.
Okay? So what I'm not saying you're limiting in like you can't bring these units. What I'm saying is, if you're going to go with this detachment is really based around hard-hitting jump packs. So therefore, you've got more availability of hard-hitting jump packs, but you can't bring as many big, slow-moving things because it doesn't really fit with the theme of that army. I'm not saying it's got to be Blood Angels, but I am saying that, like, if you're going to go with the fast attack swing, you should bring more fast attack. Not, hang on, this is really broken if I load it entirely up with dreadnoughts.
on a related note, I really like detachments in 10th. I think they're great. I think the way that they've gotten rid of pages and pages of stratagems is really, really good.
Yep.
I think the fact we've got a few universal ones is good, and then you get another 6 based on what the detachment you're bringing is, and you get a little bit of special ability, meaning that you don't have to memorize 50 bajillions potential stratagems.
Straight to a real problem.
I really like how they've implemented detachments in that way.
I know you've got some thoughts on this, John.
Yeah, I think the detachment stuff helped balance it, but I think until they improve army building, and I think they need to improve army building because I think it's too cookie cutter, right? There's no unique builds anymore. In a certain sense, there's no unique characters anymore. You know, like last edition when you used to be able to give the characters like warlord traits and enhancements and stuff. Like, yeah, I mean, I think one of the things I liked the most was making my own characters and feeling like like Captain Bob. Yeah, he's mine. I made him, and like he gives Commander Dante a run for his money in my Blood Angels army, and I actually prefer him because, like, and it's just I understand the reasoning for changing and removing all the customization. It's to lower the barrier to entry to get more people into the hobby, but for people that were serious and engaged, it
making
lessens
things
it.
more generic has taken flavour away.
Simplifies it for a tournament game. It's a lot easier. And we talked about this before. There's a reason that all of the more or less all of the codexes have got 1, maybe 2 standout detachments, and all the others are shit flavour ones. And that's because now you've only got 2 possible builds. You've got to balance for tournament play. You don't have 6. It limits, and it's the same with like customizable characters. By ditching all that customization, you've got less things that you need to try and balance.
Did you see on the Discord, John? I tried to get someone in the channel to whip up a STL for a Blood Angel Commander shaped head that I could put on a Space Marine.
I did not.
Nice bit of glasses on it, bit of nice cheeky grin, and a bit of
okay.
Yeah,
Cool. I'll have to put on a Terminator when you get it done.
Sorry, talking about customization and individual leaders there.
So I don't know. I don't mind the detachment system actually. To be honest, I do. I do think that it's made things a little bit too generic in some ways.
Yeah.
But I really, really miss unit customization.
Yeah, me too.
That's something that makes me really sad. I don't mind the limited number of strats. 9th edition had too many strats. In all honesty, I thought 9th edition was pretty good. And if you kept 9th edition and just ditched all the strats out of it, I think you'd probably have a pretty solid I'm
also happy with the number of command points you get and how often you get them, and you don't start with all of them and then you can just blow your load on the first turn, and
that's an improvement.
Every single turn has worked out quite well alongside the rebalanced and rejig stratagem system. I think that's done well.
Strats has been a pretty good thing of 10th edition. I think that's a change that's been a good one. Yeah, there we go. I think are we ready for moving on?
Anything else, John?
So. No, I think we can move on.
Okay, let me shift that along a little bit. I've said it. We've kind of talked about this already, but this is the kind of the main ways of playing. So at the moment, you've got competitive tournament style play with the tournament packs. You've got Crusade that nobody plays. You've got Legends, which don't really fit in anywhere, and you've got boarding action, which is brilliant, but sadly just unrepresented in any space.
Yeah, unsupported.
I mean, it's more supported now. It's got a standalone rulebook, I guess.
It's a lot better than it was in 9th for that very reason.
Yeah. People didn't realise that it has a standalone rulebook, so I mean, I don't know why they didn't make that more.
I just don't think they make enough of it because it's a brilliant, really fun way of playing. In fact, my only complaint about it is that you can't take the Castaferum pattern dreadnoughts, which were literally designed as boarding dreadnoughts.
Oh, really? I've never heard you say that before. How have we never heard this from you before, Tony?
Why would you have a boarding dreadnought that you can't play in boarding action?
You need to investigate King of the Colosseum, Tony.
What is King of the Colosseum?
It's a 500-point game mode for 40k. You know about it? No?
Well, I think if someone's told me about it, but it's basically what 40k and 40 minutes used to be in old editions.
Yes, pretty much, yes. Play on tabletop.
It used to be 400, but yeah, basically 500-point game. There are
In a
some
Colosseum.
modifications, and it's a fairly tight battlefield.
Yes, correct.
So you can get it all done in about half an hour, 40 minutes of a game.
Yeah, and you could take your Dreadnought.
Yeah.
Because they'll have the same...
Hasn't it been written up by some like YouTube channel or something?
Yeah, Play on tabletop. 40k in 40 minutes. That's their series.
Because that used to be... It was in White Dwarf 40k in 40 minutes, but I think it originated from some... I think it was like someone at a gaming club. They wrote an article in White Dwarf explaining how they like to play.
Okay.
How it's implemented in like schools, long before we had the schools program. Which, on a complete aside, as much as we slag off GW, their schools program and support is absolutely brilliant. They are so supportive of getting young people into the game, and
Yeah. They are.
Wonder why.
Point of view. So, like things like the battle honors. If you've not paid attention to battle honors lately, it doesn't cost you anything, not necessarily anyway. And you get some really cool stuff. It doesn't cost you anything. Little game cases and carrying miniatures and different tools, all sorts of stuff. It's really, they do give a lot of support into that. And yes, I am a cynic. I understand that it means that they keep playing and they buy things later, but they don't have to. They didn't used to, and enough people played it. Yeah. But yeah, I have heard of this, and it sounds like it's probably something I need to look more into.
Yeah.
I like fast game.
There's links on the Discord. People have been asking us to see if we want to look into it before, so maybe we should do.
Well, let us know in the comments if it's something you're interested in, and we'll do a bit of a deep dive ourselves into whether we like it, and we'll do an episode on it if people want us to do one.
Yeah, I think
yeah,
I think the game is in a good space competitively, but I think that too many corners are cut to make it a competitive game, and I think we have to get on board with that. But I feel like
I'm
not sure we do. I wildly disagree with that. I'm not sure that I do.
Okay. Well, I mean,
if I want to stay current in what GW are doing, because that's the way they're pushing it, that's what they're releasing, that's what they're doing, then absolutely, if I want to buy into their new stuff, then that's what I need to do. And I want to be really careful with this one, because otherwise someone just say in the comments, you don't have to play it, you just play 7th edition if you like. Yeah, you can. If you don't like it, you don't have to play it. You can make up your own rules. Try Grimdark Future, supposed to be quite good. Horus Heresy's got a lot of depth to it, which it had Xenos in it though.
Yeah. Maybe Red's homebrew game is ready yet. I've not been following it for a while.
There are absolutely other ways to play than competitive. It was never designed. This is the first edition where it's been the primary. Yeah. Every previous edition for the last 30 years, it's been a secondary way of playing for the sweaty neckbeards. This time it's not, and it's purely because the market has shifted to people seem to look at competitive first. You don't have to, but we have a John who does that for us.
It's true, and we love John.
Yeah, but I miss the fun.
Yeah, I do. I really do. We've talked it all the way through. We've been saying how we can improve it and put a bit more fun back into it.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
And I think your earlier statement, John, is the right one. You said earlier there needs to be 2 ways of playing this game.
Yeah, I think I'm feeling it at the end of 10th edition. I've done everything I wanted to achieve in 10th edition, i.e. win a GT.
Yep.
I've played the living shit out of all 3 detachments that we played this, we had to play Gladius for a year, we had to play Liberator Assault Group for a year, and now I've played Angelic Inheritors for a year. Maybe not quite a year, because that would be the whole 3 years. Let's say 9 months of each.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean.
But now I'm fucking bored of it. I can. There's only so many games. Every game's the same, right? It's like, you know what your army does. You can't tweak anything. there's distinct units that are better than the other units. Like you talked about how the Assault Terminators have been bullshit all edition. So it's like, okay, so I have to take these units and I have to play them this way, and I have to use this attachment, and there's no flexibility in any of my squads. So how can I, like, I'm doing the same thing. But once you've done that same thing for, I only play one game a week. The people that play 5 games a week, they must be really fucking bored, because I'm bored and I only play 1 game a week.
So here's something then, which is an analog I'm going to bring in from Star Wars Unlimited. You've mentioned potentially having 2 ways to play this game. There are 2 basic ways to play Star Wars Unlimited. You play the constructed one, where you build your deck and you take your deck. Or there's limited play, which is sealed play. So you build a deck on the day out of sealed boosted packs, or you draft it round and you play out of sealed packs that way. And it's 2 different skill sets, because you've got to build a deck in advance with one of them, make a guess on what the metagame is going to be and what other people are going to bring. And that is one way to play the game. And the other one is we're just making it up on the fly. We've got no idea what our card pool is going to be, and it's a different skill set and it's a different way of playing. With the last 6 months or so, sealed or limited is now part of their competitive environment for Star Wars Unlimited. So to win at the highest levels of the game and at their Galactic Championship or the World Championship, you will have to win in both versions of the game consistently.
Yeah, which I think it would be more. 40k needs something like that.
I really don't, because I like. Ironically, actually, sealed is how I prefer to play TCGs. I always have. I like the flexibility of doing it on the day and thingy and not being able to. But with 40k, because so much of it is about building, painting, converting, over time.
Maybe not a tournament version of 40k and a fun version, but maybe like mix it up to a 2,000 point on a 6x4 and a 1,000 point on a smaller board, and you've got to do well at both of those and have more stuff going on with that.
I just think that for me, the fix is the emphasis, and you can make the argument that actually we should be doing it. You said about play on tabletop, they've come up with this fun way. They're doing exactly the same thing that maybe we should be doing. We put more weight into competitive. Historically we do, and John definitely puts more weight into competitive 40k because that's what he perceives the audience as wanting. Now maybe that's because that's what the audience see the most, that's what they think they want,
but John's also built up an audience and niche for himself in that.
Absolutely. And that's not, I'm not trying to take away from that for a second, but the idea that the standard way of playing, I keep telling people, and I've convinced my whole gaming group now, I'm having much more fun 1,500 points 6x4. Faster games, more fun, quicker, bigger. Movement phase becomes far more important. Asymmetric boards are becoming more common, but you're tossing a dice to see whether you're attacking, defending like you used to, or you play 2 goes and once you're attacking, once you're defending. So you're swapping around on these different boards, and it doesn't matter that it's asymmetric because you're playing both ways and things like that. To just if that becomes the default again, then you can have your super streamlined competitive play. Only 1 detachment's allowed in competitive play. It's this one. It's the most balanced. You don't get any war gear options. You're selecting whole units. You're slapping them down as cards, basically. They've got these weapons. It's completely balanced. And that's there for a mode if you want it. We'll never get back to that. We'll never move that way. But for me, that would improve 40k immensely if the standard way was this way we've been talking about all night, and your tournament play was your super balanced mode, and it had different army lists you're drawing from, slightly different, less random core rules. Tables are perfectly balanced.
All right. Cool.
Like Blood Bowl does a good job of it, because you've got, of course, the Blood Bowl tournament packs, and you've got standard Blood Bowl. Which is inherently unbalanced, but nobody gives a shit because it's Blood Bowl.
You right, John?
No, I agree with most of the things you're saying. I think we have to move on, though, because we could debate this all night.
We could.
It's true. We could.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you just sitting there because you've got a sore mouth, John? Is that why you're...
I'm probably a little bit quieter because my jaw is starting to hurt again. Yeah.
You know what would help?
What,
Whiskey.
beer?
Whiskey would help.
You're not allowed to drink alcohol, apparently, or I would have.
Well,
surely it just goes
allowed.
straight into your bloodstream because you've got a nice, easy
Open wound.
open
Your
wound.
mouth.
I'm sure in the old days they drank plenty of alcohol when they got teeth pulled.
Oh god, yeah. Is that the end of the slidey stuff for this before
No.
the?
Well, I've only got one slide left, but we don't have to spend any time on it, Misk. And that was anything else that we would tweak if we had the chance. But I think we've probably covered everything, if I'm honest.
We haven't. There is one more thing
Go
in
on.
my little prepared list that I want to see, and is what has put me off of 40k for some considerable time now. I want to, for 11th edition, I want GW to commit to no more squatting and legendsing and getting rid of models. I think it's been shit. I think it's been massively disheartening for models that I've built and collected and painted over the years to suddenly have them removed from play and made legal. And the fear of that happening to more of my collection has made me want to go, fuck you, I'm out.
You're not the only one that's felt that.
So I want a commitment that will not happen again, or anymore. And then maybe I'll consider investing in more stuff. Maybe.
I don't even think that, because I know they won't do it. They would never commit to that. But
no, of course not.
I do genuinely think that, we talk about tournament play and competitive play, but the problem with competitive play was there was too many units, too much. But having this kind of, I think two army lists. You've got the standard playlist, which is basically got everything and all this sort of mad shit in there and all these cool things. That's the standard way to play 40k.
And it does exist in the Legend data sheets, but they're all shit.
They don't work. And then you've got the tournament play mode, which has some of those will be legends off, whatever. You're only allowed, and then you can do it like you do with your card game. Where they say, right, 3 years old models can no longer be used. And you rotate them. You go, right, in this season, these are the detachments that are allowed. These are the units that are allowed. But in next season, we're going to give you a new set of detachments that you can use. So, like in season 1, you've got to use Sons of Sanguinius. You're playing Blood Angels.
And in competitive play, you should be prepared to play all formats, not just the one that is.
And then, but season 2, it's Angelic Inheritors is the competitive detachment that's given. Of the 12 available competitive detachments for the whole game, and you just play it like that.
Maybe, or a choice, but sure, okay.
But you know what I mean?
No, that would be great, man. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. The Legends datas should be standard.
Yeah.
Like all the models that you removed that you fucked everybody off with, well, that is the standard way of playing now. And like Tony said, there's a hyper-competitive mode that only has so many detachments each edition. Because let's face it, they cannot balance the number of factions they have anyway.
No.
Because you look at the skew, you've still got Aldari sitting at like a 65% win rate. They've been there since their fucking codex came out a year ago. How are they still 65%,
There's 20-something factions at the moment.
Yeah, they can't balance it. You notice they stopped doing that Meta Watch stuff. Remember the Meta Watch stuff? They came on every 3 months.
I wondered if I'd missed seeing that, and
I think they've stopped doing it because they like I was looking for it. I was like, when's the next Meta Watch coming? Oh, they just fucking stopped it because obviously when their data shows like armies with a 30% win rate and armies with a 65% win rate, it looks terrible, and it's like they can't defend it, and it's been like that for a year.
If you can't balance 20
factions, you can't.
Then you can't balance the fact that each one of those factions has got 6 detachments in it.
I mean, look at StarCraft. They couldn't even balance 3.
No. So the way they did it was they made it so that in the multiplayer competitive mode, only half the units are there.
Yeah, at the moment you've got, just this last week, you've got Mechanicus at 58% win rate and Imperial Agents at 41%.
So 40k in its broad, glorious depth should be the fun standard way to play, and Horus Heresy in its narrow, hyper-balanced state should be the competitive way.
No, Horus Heresy is a different thing. It's a different game. It's always been different. And
yeah, I know. I'm just talking shit here, but that's
no, but you're right, because
If both players are playing the same army, then there you go, balanced.
Balanced, or a selection of available. Because right, this is going to really upset people. Let's go to controversy at the end, right? Ban knights, ban Imperial agents, ban custodes, ban GSK. Those armies should not be allowed in tournament play.
GSK?
GSC, whatever. GSC, sorry.
Okay, right.
Not GlaxoSmithKline. GSC, because they are, and as someone who collects, I have a Custodian's army, I have a Knight's army, I love my Titans, things like that. I've even got a little GSC army, not that I play very often.
Yeah.
They're brilliant, but they are not designed to be balanced against
large, full-scale battlefield armies. Yeah.
They're not. One custodian should be an absolute monster in himself. Right? They are a unique, incredible thing to make them it. They're immensely powerful. They're brilliant. They're so cool. But they do not work because they don't fight regular battles. You're not going to find custodian on custodian, even though you can in a tournament at the moment. So just ban them. Knights, giant stompy walkers, are never going to be balanced properly against an Imperial Guard infantry platoon. And they shouldn't be. Man, lasgun, flashlight, not hurty giant robot kind of makes sense. So just say, right, we're going to make them awesome. But they're for the standard way of play, which is this fun way, which has got this really big open broad thing. They're not balanced for tournament play. You can't use them in it. But,
and you know what? Tournaments could choose to be standard.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that would be fun, and you would go to standard tournaments because you can go with my Terrax Siege drill. I can take that.
People who went would know and accept that they'd be facing unbalanced shit. But
because it's fun.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's just an event then, isn't it? You're not trying to go there and win. You're trying to go there because you think it'd be wicked cool to see what a Warlord Titan versus 8,000 guardsmen would be.
Or whatever. Yeah.
And then if you're controlling the Warlord, you're just blowing huge chunks of the battlefield up. Use John's destructible terrain as well. So we can have like some sort of the big laser destroyer things just blowing up the building and all the men in it. That'd be wicked fun. But it was never balanced to be like a competitive play. So don't worry about it. Don't overthink it. You narrow it down. You've only got a few factions. You've got a few different detachments. You've got not their whole roster to make a beautifully 50-50 balanced game.
Cool.
I should make this video on my channel, like a 2-minute section or a 5-minute video of like, this is what 40k should be going forward, and it will get so much hate.
Of course it will. But it'd get a lot of views while it did it.
You can blame me if you like.
It would get views. People love controversy.
It's true.
Yeah. I'll come on your channel, John, and I'll just say
thumbnails doing it.
Competitive 40k is shit. Get rid of it.
I just have my super heavy tank. I'll see if I can balance it on my head for the thumbnail.
Yeah. New guaranteed way to make 40k amazing.
Yeah.
Bring back the falchion. Right, so that's it. That is it. That is the last of my slides.
Awesome.
I hope you enjoyed the beautiful art that I selected for today.
We did. We always do.
Indeed.
And I thought we'd move on and do some pile of gory.
Your artwork choices are almost always good, except when they're magenta.
Great colour. It's important.
Okay.
Right.
Who's first? Me.
Woohoo!
Terminators, bolter Terminators, lots of them.
Expanded Terminators, I see there in the middle.
Misc other random stuff.
Is that a librarian? Is that a librarian with a bolter and a chain fist Terminator at the back there? Awesome.
That is an old metal librarian Terminator with a bolter and a chain fist. Yeah, I cobbled together 20 Terminators, and I've got them. They're all different sizes, but they are now all on the right basis. So I have 20 bolter Terminators. There's 10 on the picture here. So there's another 10 that are finished.
I understood why you didn't have squads of Terminators with cyclone missile launchers on, just walking up the battlefield shooting missiles at the enemy. I never understood why they didn't do that.
Don't quote me on this. I think you can in Heresy.
I think you can in Heresy, yeah. In 40k it was always 1 per 5.
I'm sure that like Iron Warriors or Salamanders, one of them could have like Devastator squads in Terminator armor, basically, and it was just cyclone missile launchers for days.
It looks
Yeah.
cool, John.
I just had a lot of old Terminators that had been sat doing nothing, so I thought that I would get going with them. I'm always painting something, right?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Same thought. I've just been digging out all of my Terminators.
So they needed done. The other 10 are pretty much done, so I'll just have 20 Terminators pretty soon. And there's 2 captains with Power Fists and Infernal Pistols in there just because Blood Angels always need more captains.
That guy in the front row.
I think he's a Reaver Lieutenant with a bolt gun and a knife.
No, not him. The one next to him that hasn't got a sanguinary guard head. In the middle there. He just looks beefy.
He's one of those new Terminators.
He was Stormbolter and...
Yeah, Power Fist. He just looks bigger than the others.
He's got a knight helmet, I think.
Is that what that is? It's a cool helmet.
His helmet, I think, must be one of the Crimson Lord helmets, because I don't know where else I would have got it.
That might be why. Is it
looks more Grey Knighty than normal Space Marine? Yeah.
It does, yeah, I think it looks wicked.
Yeah,
it's good. It's more like Crimson Paladin kind of a look, isn't it?
Yeah.
With the helmet on that one.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, just been doing Terminators for a change. I'm hoping that they're... Like, Terminators have to get better rules, right? That's kind of why I'm doing it.
I'm really glad they redid them because, to be fair, the glow up they've given modern Terminator sculpts compared to what they were is beautiful.
Allspecs just did a video on them where he's like, no competitive armies have got them, so therefore they're shit. I'm thinking, well, I don't think they're shit. I think they're really good. I've been enjoying Terminators this whole edition, and I still think they're really good. I think they're excellent in a unit with a chaplain and the Fights First enhancement. But I just think that Terminators are great. They've got a decent amount of shooting. They're really annoying to shift. Power Fists with +2 strength and a chaplain in the squad wound anything in the game on a 4-up, and most things on a 2 or 3.
And
and they've got loads of attacks as well, so they can chew through big units if they need to. Apart from that, they're a bit slow, but then you can teleport them in anyway. And as we said earlier, Deep Strike's broken at the moment. As long as you can squeeze them in the hole, they'll go.
There's only one thing about the models on this page that bug me ever so slightly, and that is I really want the Stormbolters on the Cyclone Terminator and the Terminator at the front with the Paladin Knight helmet to have drilled barrels.
I don't do that.
I know.
Life's too short, man.
Fair. It's the only slight minor bug I've got. That's all.
Do you remember the old Cyclone missile launcher? Because you only got a couple of the current. You've got the current one and then the one before. Do you remember the old one that had a targeter in his hand?
Yes, I do remember the targeter.
Yeah. A pistol thing that you point at what he was trying to blow up.
Did the one that have the targeter? Did he not have a power weapon or a power fist or something?
No, he had power fist and targeter. He didn't have Stormbolter.
Oh, right, okay.
Is that what it was?
I'm pretty sure it was. I could be wrong.
I thought the targeter replaced the power fist. He had a Stormbolter.
I thought he still kept his melee weapon. I don't know. I'd have to go.
I had one of those at one point. Fuck knows where it's at.
Yeah, I have as well somewhere. I cannot find it. So yeah, cool. Good stuff. Mark, you've been doing some Star Wars...
I've been buying some Shatterpoint stuff because when I went to the UK Games Expo earlier this year, I bought the big diorama thing that you see there because I thought I could sell it and make a profit. And then I wound up going, you know what, sod this. It's pretty cool. I'm going to open it and build it, and it looks awesome. And it's a diorama from an episode of Rebels where Ahsoka meets Anakin for the first time since he became Darth Vader, and they have a big kick-off in the middle of a giant fortress underground with the Sith holocron and all this kind of crap. And it's gorgeous, and I love it, and I'm really happy that I did it. And at the same time, shortly after I did that, I'd bought this thing, and I thought, you know what's really cool? That whole Rebel squad they did where the leader is Leia and the secondary character is Luke, and the two mooks are Han and Chewie just running through the Death Star doing things. So I bought that squad as well because that's an awesome thing that I wanted to do. The models are a bit bigger than 40k. They're nice and good to paint up, which I'll probably never do, but I want to. And then below that, we got General Veers and 3 Stormtroopers because you make an army for Shatterpoint out of 2 squads. And one of the other squads I've got is Vader and 3 stormtroopers, and I wanted to have like an Imperial soldiery type army. So I've got Vader and 3 stormtroopers and General Veers and 3 snowtroopers, and that feels pretty cool to me. So I've built those to make a little unit out of those.
Are you going to paint them up, or are you just going to leave them as?
I'll spray them and I'll put them on my table to get painted at some point. They're not a priority because at these days I'm just like painting for the display more than the expectation of getting to play with them, although getting to play with them would be nice. And I have made some inroads into finding places to play with them. So who knows, maybe one day I will. That'd be good. I still love the Shatterpoint game dearly. I love the fact that the models don't really die until very close to the end. So this army that you spent loads of time painting and building, you'll get a lot of use out of them through 95% of the game that you play, and you won't lose half of them on the first turn, just dead, and all the effort that you put into building and painting the army is completely useless, which annoyed the crap out of me. But yeah, I love the Shatterpoint models. They're great. I'll probably buy some more of them at some point, and they're really cool.
Very nice.
Well, I'd love to get Shatterpoint. I think that if I ever win the lottery, then I'll have time to do a Shatterpoint.
I'd like to get it just to paint. There was that Vader and Obi-Wan diorama thing they did.
Yeah.
I really wanted that.
Have you watched the series yet, by the way?
Yeah,
that came from that scene.
I thought it was good. Don't get me wrong, there were some really stupid bits.
Yeah.
Really, really stupid bits. Child Leia, very annoying. Just get
but also pretty cool at the same time.
Wow. There's that weird bit which is running away in the woods and nobody can catch her. And that made absolutely no sense. Anybody who has tried to race a 5-year-old would know they're pretty easy to chase down. Apparently in this one, her little legs are so fast, grown, trained soldiers can't catch her.
Do you know the bit that annoyed me the most in that series,
Was
though?
it the bit where they couldn't step over a log, or was it the bit where there was a thin branch in front of them that they couldn't move through?
No, the bit that annoyed me the most was when they were in that bunker, and like the 2 squads of stormtroopers were like assembling outside the bunker, and it's only when they came into the bunker, the woman's like, I have a thermal detonator. Couldn't you have like opened the door 10 minutes ago, rolled that shit outside, closed the door, and be like, job done?
Absolutely full of plot holes, but Ewan McGregor is still awesome as Obi-Wan.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It was fun. I enjoyed it overall.
Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it. I liked it. It was fun, but it's one of those things that's like, it's fun. Don't pay too much attention to it.
Yeah.
Suspension of disbelief. You need to stretch pretty good for this one.
Yeah.
When they cracked his helmet, though, it was pretty cool as well. I must admit, that was one of the best. When his voice was going between the two.
That Vader model on here does come with 2 alternate heads. There's the one which is fully helmeted there, and then there's one which is cracked and has got half of Anakin's face showing through it. But I chose to go with the full face.
Yeah, that's priceless.
Anyway.
Cool. What have you been up to, Tony?
I've done a few little bits. So I put up a squad of berserkers. I will eventually get that and made into a video, but they are now all finished and ready to go.
Awesome.
I'm quite pleased with them. I just hate trim.
Who doesn't?
Sorry?
I said, who doesn't hate trim?
Yeah. I quite like the weathering and that on them. It's a very different to our normal style, which is quite clean. I did a little bit of subtle OSL as well on some of the plasma weapons as well, which I'm quite pleased with, and that came out quite nicely.
Yep.
And then the other thing that I did was finally to get him off my desk. It's been there for ages. I painted up Sly Marbo. He looks a bit strange. That's because I painted the base around 7 years ago.
Okay.
And never got around to doing the rest of him. So I was like, right, I'm going to get the rest of him actually painted. So I took him off of the little paper clips that he was glued to.
Yeah, losing Sly Marbo is another little bit of lost character from 40k that is a shame.
He's still in the game.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh.
He's still there. All the other characters are dead.
Oh, right, okay, fair enough.
You know, Yarrick, sure, why not? But no, Sly's still there, but then it kind of makes sense because Sly, the whole point of him is that the rumours are that actually it's not one man, it's...
Oh, right, like a different
like a
person every time. Yeah, or a
handed
tradition.
down, like James Bond. but also I like to think that it isn't, and he's just a perpetual.
I like the watch. I don't know why, but I like the watch.
Yeah, I decided he was using a Garmin smartwatch. I thought it'd be a laugh.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just like the idea that he's such a badass that he's become a perpetual. So every time he's killed, he just reforms in the warp somewhere else in the universe.
With cigar.
With cigar to go knife more people. Yeah, like
Also-
Vulcan supposedly does.
Yeah. Excellent. Very cool.
Yeah, that's what I did. I haven't done an awful lot. I've done a lot of building actually. I built a Land Raider. I built a load of other random crap, but I haven't had much chance to paint for the last couple of months. But yeah, so that's what I did. I painted camo patterns on a man's trousers and blood splatters on some Space Marines.
Cool.
In advance of the new set of Star Wars, I'm now on my 3rd bulk box, ready for organising cards from the new set.
Oh dear.
And I've ordered another 6 packs of 100 sleeves to sleeve the playset with. So, yeah.
Good stuff.
It continues.
It continues. Have you got any more big tournaments on the cards?
So the pre-release for the new set is this weekend coming. I've got nothing planned after that. There'll be some store showdowns going on. There's another set of 15 planetary qualifiers around the country, which I'll try and make 2 or 3 of if I can. The next really big ones, there's going to be a sector qualifier, which is about a 500-player one in Paris in January. There's also going to be one in the Netherlands around the same period, and the rest of them are going to be US-based for the next 4 months. So we shall see.
Are you going to try and make your way to Paris or the Netherlands?
I don't know. I've got a lot of friends in the Netherlands from when I go on my annual World of Warcraft
maybe.
Guild meets out there. So there's definitely potential. We'll see how it goes. It's all down to cost at the end of the day, of course. But, yeah, or just hop on a train and go from London to Paris is also not exactly difficult. So,
Oh, that's true.
yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, the beauty of supposed to go in Paris is, depending on when it starts, maybe you could go there and back in the day.
Yeah.
I haven't done it for a while, but I have done it.
I've gotten hold of a showcase Luke from Jump to Lightspeed, and that's still my deck of choice at the moment with space fighters and all sorts of crazy stupidness. So yeah,
I think that's still my favourite. That one and set 3, I think, were my favourites. That's just all the characters I actually know and like. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so I think we'll probably end it there. Thank you very much for watching. We're going to post in the top there our video on everything that's exactly definitely going to Legends in 11th edition, which our inside information told us this. So we'll post that up there. I hope you enjoyed it. If you think we're wrong, you're right. We are. And you should tell us all about it in the comments. Subscribe responsibly.
And we do try and reply to as many of them as possible. Normally Tony, because he gets bored when he's, I don't know, driving from home or something. I don't know.
I sit there while I'm listening to children tell me nonsense. No, I don't. That's just my own child. When I'm looking after my own child and he's still not gone to sleep, and we're on like hour 2 of waiting for him to go to sleep, I sit there and answer all the comments.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we do answer them. We do read them all. If you like it, dislike it if you don't like it. And we'll catch you on the next one.
We will see you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching, guys.
Cheers.
Have a good one.